You're now listening to Design with Vivian Toh.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on the fourth episode of Design. I'm Vivian Toh. Now this evening we have a very interesting guest with me tonight, and we will be talking about insights and highlights on fashion and what it is far more than just a material world. This evening we have Puan Futom, Shikh Jaafar from the Malaysia Design Council, aka Majlis Rekabentuk Malaysia, MRM, and we also have Zainal, the fashion maestro of Malaysia, who also writes a book. Later on he will talk to us about the book, and we also have his fashion muse, Raj Aria, who seems to be really good in hosting, but in his background he is from the banking industry. We will also hear from him how he actually got involved in fashion as well. Now, tonight, let's have Bon to kickstart the conversation. Good evening, Bon.
Hi,
good evening, Puan, and good evening to you, Raj. Now, Bon, what do you have to say about the insights, or let's just talk about highlights on fashion? What are you busy with recently? I see that you are in the media a lot. What's actually running in your mind?
Well, fashion is about people about fashion is about glamorous thing, about being there, rubbing shoulders with people, all that. But then again, I must say, fashion is something which is something from the heart, you know. And then being a Malaysian, I think we should realize that we Malaysian, we are creative. We coming from creative base basically. Okay. And yes, the industry now is growing. I can see now. I mean, sometimes too fast. Okay, and then again, we should look more into the industry as a whole. To me, it's become a commodity. I mean, it should be something that is money making, instead of just being glamour, being seen in with the virtual world now. With the Instagram and social media now. So people should look into. I mean, in fact, the government should look into this as a commodity for the industry. Yeah.
It should have always been a commodity since the way back then.
Yes, it is.
Well, I have recently written an article for a Hong Kong publication, and also talk about the future of design in the next 5 years. And what I find about this landscape in Malaysia is that we have always been known as a country that trades a lot, manufactures things a lot, and we actually have the natural resources. What we don't realize is that we are full of talent, and if this talent know how to make use of the natural resources in Malaysia, I mean, we will be a really cool country.
Yeah, we are cool, of course.
With you, Mr. Bon.
Well, I mean, again, even certain all the big brands in the world, most of it are produced here. In Malaysia, and then people didn't know that. I remember last time when I was studying way back in the 80s. Okay, and I used to work in one of the brand, and then one of a simple T-shirt cost about $385 US, and I said, labor is made in Malaysia. So again, we should look into this deeply now. It's about time. Basically.
So my question to Raj now, it's about Buatan Malaysia, made in Malaysia, and now Raj, you are actually wearing a Buatan Malaysia suit, menswear, designed by Bon. How do you feel about it?
Well, I feel great actually, because we always say that sometimes it's all about substance. It's about what you are inside. But the interesting thing is people make perception in terms of what they see externally. So it's very important to look the part as well, because people will then say, hey, he looks the part, but the question next they're going to ask is, does he have the substance? In most cases, for me being in this industry, is first impressions is very, very crucial. So we talk about grooming, we talk about fashion sense and all that. And I think maybe Malaysians in the past took it for granted. We say, it's not really that important. We wear whatever, it's available, whatever that looks okay, convenience. But failing to realize that it actually can make a difference in the bigger scheme of things. Because remember, people are always looking at you. People are always judging you. Whether you admit it or not, they are always observing you. And if you look good, perception can be vastly different from if you look otherwise.
When actually that you discover that image is really important?
As you mentioned, I used to come from the banking line. So very simple. You put on a long sleeve shirt, you put on your slacks, you put on a tie. That's it. But when I did the transition to entertainment and media a couple of years back, it actually changed my perception, because I never really thought much about it, but people are, as I mentioned just now, always judging you. Now, fashion is very important to each person because it actually defines you in some sense in terms of what you wear, how you groom yourself, and that is actually your unique characteristic, a differentiation from the next person out there. So at the end of the day, you want to give your very best. So some people who are very intelligent have a lot to offer internally, but perception-wise from the outside, if you don't look the part, people will already be pigeonholing you. Maybe, because he dressed so shabbily, he must not be maybe well-educated. He's not well-groomed. He may not be highly intellectual. So all kinds of perceptions can come in. So what I'm looking at is in terms of the full package, the holistic perspective, whereby you look good outside, and that will give you a chance to for other people to see that does he have substance, and if you have the substance, that's it, you got it made.
Well, I believe Puan is specialized in menswear designing, and definitely there is an importance in dressing well and impeccable. What do you have to say about that?
And again, people judge you, okay. And just to add up, I do focus on men, but yes, I do focus on ladies as well.
Okay.
Okay, because fashion is at both. It took both ways and all that. Perception, again, one thing I would say, support local brand.
Okay.
Okay, you must.
Go.
And
support.
And then again, people like things. I mean, everybody, male, female, we like things that look good. You know what I mean? Even like dressing up every morning, even female. I mean, when we wake up in the morning, when we dress up, some a bit or rather we impress the opposite sex. I mean, some or other we do that. You know, I mean, be it your
the opposite
co-worker,
attracts, that law of attraction.
be it your co-worker, your colleague, your parents, your mom, your dad. I mean, these are the things. Go back again to the industry, fashion. Fashion, on our part, we make things look good. Our job is to make people look good. It's a most honorable a job to me, basically, and all that. You see? Yeah.
Puan Futom. Now, Raj was mentioning that he came from the background of banking, right? And what else, Raj?
Banking and finance, then did
banking
a
and
transition
finance.
to entertainment and media, yes.
Juan, I think you do also have an interesting story. Would you mind to share with us your how did you the jump from that background to what you are today, a senior general manager of MRM?
Yeah, every time I speak about the jump, I suppose in other countries they're not really surprised, but in Malaysia they're quite surprised because when they ask me what my basic degree was, biochemistry, then they say, okay, wow. So what are you doing in design now? But it's just not about what you have studied. It's what you see happening in the country and in other countries, how the other countries have managed to bring up design as one of the commodity in their country. And in Malaysia, I agree what Bon has just said just now, that we come from a very long history of creative people way back, you know, when the Malays and the Thais, some Thais, kacukan they call it, and we have some influence of Arabs, influence of Indonesians, and from there we know that our people are very creative people, and looking at the transformation, everybody is speaking about transformation. Design is just no more about doing it at home and only for you and your neighbors, but we are looking at how to commercialize it really, really well. Like Bon, for example. Probably he can have his own line of clothing now and mass produce it and creating that brand equivalent to like Prada or something like that. But this is where we want to go.
Well, there must be some kind of recipe that Bon is really following through. We were outside the studio just now. We were listening to Bon say that he did not really take up fashion design as a course, but it's a combination of fashion and marketing. Bon, would you like to touch on that furthermore?
Okay. Let's talk about vocation here in Malaysia. Okay, we have a lot of fashion college which focus more on fashion design. So fashion design, we focus on one thing. But for me, I mean, even I remember one time when I left for States, I mean, I told my parents I want to take fashion marketing. They be like, huh? You know, is that? I mean, people's like, you know, I mean, 20 years ago.
Why do
you
you
know
have
what I
to
mean?
go overseas to study fashion?
But then again, in fashion marketing, you learn everything about the whole industry. From accounting, management, PR, even fashion broadcasting, fashion media, and all that. I mean, so the whole works, you know, and of course it relates communication, you know. So fashion communicate. I mean, what you wear, what you portray, is you communicate with others. So these are the things we should look into, basically, you know. And for me now, basically now I can fully say I'm like a walking billboard, you know, for me, for my brand, you know. And if you notice, in overseas, even some designers, they go beyond fashion. Some even produce car upholstery, even some produce household utensils and all that. You know, these are it's about branding. So these are the things that we should focus. Like Puan Futom say, it's more to make it commercialize this thing, all that. And yes, we are creative based, and I believe we can go further from now. I mean, like it takes guts to do it, but then again, we are already into it. No?
What I find every time when I'm in a conversation with someone creative, always there's something that crops up in the conversation, which is the issues of education, the lack of possible the designers or students are being trained in skills, but not on communication that much. So there's always a conversation about education, and it is important. Just when I was at the World Innovation Forum, listening to Mr. Göran Persson, the ex-Prime Minister of Sweden, he was saying that imagination is the for children is the energy. Like it gives you the brain power to think a lot of things, and education is really important in that sense. But then let's not forget that communication is also important. Now, Raj, being a TV host, you definitely know the art of networking, right? How would this, from your point of view, it will help creative person to flourish in their career?
I think that's something which is very, very important. Now, as we all know, some designers are very good at what they do, but that's on the technical side, the vocational aspects. But the world has changed. Now they're looking at in terms of the holistic package. That means an overall point of view. It's a bit pointless to come up with fantastic designs if you're not able to network, you're not able to market it well, you're not able to come up with a proposal in order to get the financing, to mass produce it, to share it with the world. So if that part is lacking, you're still stuck at square one. So you're right about education. We should look in terms of entrepreneurship. You know, it's not just one-dimensional, focusing on the technical aspects, but you have to look at it from other aspects as well. Now, some people, they are very good at what they do. They say, look, the business parts is totally alien to me. That's fine. What you need to do then is to find someone who complements you, who can handle all the business aspects while you focus on the designing, the innovation, the creative side, and then you come together. That's when your product or your service or your designs can flourish and then hopefully can reach out to the global market, because we live in the internet age nowadays. You have you got the World Wide Web, you got the internet, and basically the world is your oyster today.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will talk more about the fashion right here on Design on Bernama Radio.